It's a good Sunday morning. Welcome to Church of the Total Man, a church for men. Today we are continuing in Proverbs chapter 25. So get a Bible, get yourself your cup of coffee, maybe even a notebook, or just sit back and learn from the wisdom of the ages. Proverbs 25. These also are Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied. It is the glory of God to conceal things, but the glory of kings to search things out. First thing that comes to my mind is because they can. As the heavens for height and the earth for depth, so the heart of kings is unsearchable. Who knows what's in the heart and mind of a ruler? Many times we think we can influence them. It's a little bit different today with elected officials, but kings in a monarchy operated at a different level than we do now. In a monarchy, people believed that God had directed a king. They weren't governments of the people, for the people, by the people. That did not exist. Take away the dross from the silver, and the smith has material for a vessel. The dross was what is left over after you melt down silver, kind of like the byproduct or a waste product, to build a vessel, something that's going to hold something, let's say a chalice, a cup, a plate. Once the impurities are removed, then it is worthy of holding something of value. Food, wine. A lot of these are metaphors. When you remove the impure from something, then it is able to house, carry, or contain something of value. Is there a connection there between the silversmith, who is God, and us, who is silver, and melting us down and removing the impurities so that we may contain something of value? Take away the wicked from the presence of the king, and his throne will be established in righteousness. We all want righteous rulers, don't we? We don't want wickedness in our rulers. Do not put yourself forward in the king's presence, or stand in the place of the great, for it is better to be told, "Come up here," than to be put lower in the presence of a noble. It's better to be said, "Hey, come here," rather than "Get away from me, get down there." Wait to be invited. What your eyes have seen, do not hastily bring into court, for what you will do in the end when your neighbor puts you to shame. Don't be so fast to go to court. Try to settle things out of court if you can. Only go in front of a judge or a king if you absolutely have to. Argue your case with your neighbor himself, and do not reveal another's secret, lest he hears you bring shame upon you and your ill repute have no end. People exposing other people. In the modern world, we call that doxing. In the social media world, let it be between two people rather than airing dirty laundry, because what happens is you end up looking like a fool if you are the one who does the doxing, the exposing, because 9 times out of 10, it's an emotional offense that you're feeling, and you're operating 100% on emotions. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in a setting of silver. I really love that. Is a wise reprover to a listening ear. Think about that. Apples of gold in a setting of silver. It's just beautiful. Like the cold of snow in the time of harvest is a faithful messenger to those who send him. He refreshes the soul of his masters. Messengers deliver good news. Sometimes messengers deliver bad news. Like the cold of snow in the time of harvest is a faithful messenger to those who send him. It's refreshing. Good news is always refreshing. This is one of the reasons why Church of the Total Man, Daybreak Show, Listen My Son, all have at its core bringing hope, positivity, and optimism. And of course, sanity, clarity, and reason. It's good news. You're only going to hear good things. The world is falling apart. The world is in a pretty wild place right now. I will also add this. When hasn't it been? We've only had pockets of peace, but peace has not been the rule in the world. It's been the exception. So the good news is like snow, refreshing, cool snow. That's what good news does. That's what positivity does. Like clouds and wind without rain is a man who boasts of a gift he does not give. If you are in a desert and you see a cloud and it's a very hot day, you're kind of hoping that some rain is going to come out of that to kind of cool things off, cool the day off, replenish the moisture in the soil. But nothing comes out of it. It's empty. It's like a man who says he has a gift but doesn't give it. All talk, no action. Clouds are all talk, no action. Those kind of clouds are all talk, no action. With patience, a ruler may be persuaded, and a soft tongue will break a bone. Present your case gently, wisely, and you may get somewhere. Screaming from a mountaintop, proclaiming your case, a soft tongue will break a bone. It's very powerful, isn't it? Sometimes that we think by exerting overt power can get things done. Many times it's a soft word that will get more done. If you have found honey, eat only enough for you, lest you have your fill of it and vomit it. Wow, look at all this honey that I found. I guess that's like anything. When you encounter anything that's good for you, having too much of it can be bad for you. There is a threshold where something goes from being good to you to making you sick. Let your foot be seldom in your neighbor's house, lest he have his fill of you and hate you. In modern days, we say, don't wear out your welcome. A man who bears false witness against his neighbor is like a war club or a sword or a sharp arrow. Lying about people, being contentious with people. It's like a club or a sword. Again, it just occurred to me, words bearing false witness. Words can break bones in a good way or in a bad way. Trusting in a treacherous man in time of trouble is like a bad tooth or a foot that slips. Don't hang out with treacherous people or associate with those who hang out with treacherous people. Gosh, haven't we seen that in the past few years? Don't hang out with idiots or with people that associate with idiots. I take it a step further. I don't do business with fools and idiots or hang out with people that do business with fools or idiots. Whoever sings songs to a heavy heart is like the one who takes off a garment on a cold day and like vinegar on soda. Whoever sings songs, whoever celebrates around somebody who is going through a hard time, can actually just make things worse. Whoever sings songs to a heavy heart, when someone has a heavy heart, either through grieving, some kind of loss, it's best to just comfort them with your words rather than celebrate or draw attention to yourself. If your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat. If he is thirsty, give him water to drink, for you will heap burning coals on his head. I always had trouble with that one. Feeding my enemy. But it says the Lord will reward you. It's a tough one. It doesn't make sense in our brains, does it? The north wind brings forth rain and a backbiting tongue, angry looks. There's consequences to everything. A north wind brings rain. A backbiting tongue brings anger. The consequences of a backbiting, lying, disloyal tongue. Did you ever have a friend who is disloyal? Did you ever have a spouse that is disloyal? The natural response is anger. That is not an unnatural response. When somebody backbites you, when someone says untrue things about you, it is going to make you angry. That's a natural response. It is better to live in the corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a quarrelsome wife. We've heard that before. And there is a reason why it's being said again. You want harmony. You want to be able to have peace. You've heard me say a man settles where he has peace. Apparently, this man is finding peace up on the roof, away from a quarrelsome wife. He can't go anywhere except on the roof to find peace. Like cold water to a thirsty soul, so is good news from a far country. Yeah, getting a letter in the mail is nice. Like a muddied spring or a polluted fountain is a righteous man who gives way before the wicked. Polluting that which is pure, dirtying the waters of truth. It is not good to eat too much honey, nor is it glorious to seek one's own glory. Interesting, that juxtaposition of eating too much honey and seeking your own glory. Eat just enough honey to enjoy it, the taste, the therapeutic aspects of it. Honey is antibacterial and antifungal. It has medicinal uses, but too much of it can make you sick. And it compares it to this, nor is it glorious to seek one's own glory, tooting your own horn. I guess there's a threshold. If you are promoting your services and you feel good about what you do, and you want people to sign up or purchase or take sides or advocate your services and or product, that's cool. I know there was another proverb. We're going to get into that next week, where I'm looking at it right now. It says, let another man's mouth praise you and not your own mouth. A stranger and not your own lips. That's from next week. But there's a point where bragging about yourself becomes toxic. There's a certain point where it's healthy, it's good, it's normal, because that's what you do. If you have a product or a service that you offer, it is okay to promote that thing. But then there's a certain point where it just becomes toxic and you don't want to hear it all the time. A man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. A man without self-control. Have you ever been a man without self-control? And you became like a city that was broken into and left without walls? A city is not a city without walls, without boundaries. Country is not a country without boundaries. Without self-control, people can steal from your life. Without self-control, there's no boundaries in your life. That's a good message for men. Have boundaries. Keep up those walls. Walls can be a good thing. Boundaries can be a good thing. Well, that was Proverbs 25. Next week we will do Proverbs 26 on Church of the Total Man, a church for men.